The video quality may be different, may even sound different. That is because I am filming this on my laptop. My filming equipment is currently charging because if you don't know, I use my phone, and I'm going to be doing a run here. I'm actually in my gym stuff. It's leg day. I'm going to be running 10 miles, or at least trying to today, training for my Run Disney 1 and 9 half marathon coming up here in a month. But that is not what this video is about. What this video is about is kind of a quick, what I think about opinion about the EPCOT Forever fireworks show. Now, before I put any of my opinions out there, first I want to say that I haven't actually seen it in person yet. So it might be a little more grand than I'm expecting, spoiler alert. But I also want to point out that, and this is something that I didn't know when I first saw it, I thought this was the new EPCOT fireworks show. That is not correct at all. It is actually the placeholder for their new fireworks show. Why they didn't just decide to let us have illuminations until spring, I do not know. I'm also not sure if they are going to be including the little Christmas tag that they typically had at the end of Illuminations, the Let There Be Peace on Earth tag. That was one of my favorite, like, little firework show things, traditions that we would do every Christmas. We didn't get a chance to see it last year. So I'm really hoping that they're going to bring it back, although I don't think they're going to bring it back because it involved the globe, and the globe is not a part of the EPCOT Forever show. So it doesn't bid well for that, which is another reason why I'm kind of like, why did they not just wait till after the Christmas season? I know they wanted to, because they premiered on the anniversary of Walt Disney World opening, so I get it. And they also kind of used it to kind of kick off the new stages that EPCOT will be entering into of change. Kind of like how Hollywood Studios is finishing up theirs, with now Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge now open. Now they're going to be working on EPCOT for the next who knows how many years, which is both exciting and kind of, considering I used to work at Hollywood Studios and I knew how construction was very rough when it came to your vacations at Disney, although Hollywood Studios was a lot smaller of a park, so hopefully Epcot will be able to maintain their construction. I mean, they've already started construction and no one's even really noticed, so that should, be a good sign on what's to come. I did get a sneak peek of their Odyssey kind of sneak peek of what's to come, which is basically honestly what takes place in the Odyssey. It's the Walt Disney Imagineering presents Epcot. I think it's just Epcot, and like it's basically talking about the new rides and the new pavilions and things that are going to be coming. If you've been online doing your own research, watching the D23 announcements, watching the Inside the Magic announcements, and on the Walt Disney World blog, then you already know everything that they have to show you. They're just basically putting it in a pretty package for the general public who doesn't do their research to kind of show them, hey, this is what it's going to be like. In that sense, I was underwhelmed for that as well. Having picked up a couple shifts at Epcot recently, there's literally a hallway that has everything that new that is coming to Epcot, and it was funny because I looked at Jared, my husband, and I was like, this isn't anything that I haven't already seen for the last couple of weeks. It just looks, it's presented in a pretty way, a pretty presentation. It is still really cool. I love the concept of having things glow and have it be interactive, but they also have that as well to check out other than the new fireworks show. Again, the new fireworks show, EPCOT Forever, is a placeholder, which to a certain point makes sense, but let's get into it. So we watched it this morning. Today's October 2nd, and we watched the live stream, and I love Illuminations. I love what it stood for. I love the score of it. I love how it ends. I do love the globe. I wish the globe was a little bit bigger and more clearer. I wish that they had upgraded it or found a way to upgrade it in years past, but I get that it was hard to see. Even so, like, I mean, I used to fall asleep to the Illuminations music. And I absolutely love the song at the end and the different version that they play at the end of the fireworks show as you're like leaving Epcot. So, like just the show itself, I love Illuminations. So it was very similar to when Wishes closed. When it came to that, that's what I was expecting. Also, I went into this thinking this was the new Epcot fireworks show, not realizing I didn't realize it was just a placeholder until after we had kind of Jared and I done our research afterwards, and we're like, oh, this is just a placeholder. That kind of makes sense, but it still upsets me that it replaced Illuminations. Just as like, well, let's go into it. Okay, so if you haven't seen it before, most of the songs, I would say at least 50% of the songs that are played in the show, it's about 10-minute show, are or highlight things that are no longer at Epcot, which I didn't start going to the parks until 2005. And there were quite a few things that we either didn't get to see before they closed, or there were a bunch of different things that we just didn't have the opportunity to see at all because they weren't open when we went. Like the food rocks and like a couple of other things that were just changed. Like, Jared was harassing me about the Living with the Land song. He was like, this song is about the Land Pavilion, and you've been to the Land Pavilion. I was like, yes, but I've never heard that song before. That song's not played, or if it is, it's not played clearly. And we've been to the parks multiple times, so it's one of those things where it's like, if I don't recognize something, then it hasn't been played within the last like 5-10 years or so. And there were a lot of things like the Universe of Energy song that Jared, my husband, he's been going to Disney World since he was a kid, since he was a baby, really. And so he remembers a lot of the songs, and that's the only reason I was able to recognize some of the songs, was because he had sang them, he had mentioned them, brought them up, like this was that. So if it wasn't for him and his influence, I would have not known what most of the songs were, which I feel like is kind of a concern, considering they're trying to play to those who have been going to Epcot for a long time now, and they're also trying to play to those who are just now coming to the parks, have a little bit for like something that's recognizable to the new people versus something that's recognizable, or something that, like, you know, or where its roots were, type of a thing. And I feel like, sorry, my nose is like running now. I feel like the show is aimed more towards the past, like for that audience, for the older audience, but that contradicts kind of what its message is. Yes, it's called EPCOT Forever, and so like you would naturally think that it would talk about the past and the future, but a lot of times it talks about the future and what's coming and what's ahead more than anything else. Yes, it features a lot of the older stuff, but it like talks about like what's coming and what the future is, and even uses the Walt Disney quotes are in it multiple times, where he's talking about how like Epcot will be ever changing. And I've always laughed at that quote because Epcot hasn't changed that much in the decade that I have been going to Epcot. If it has changed, it's been very little, or it's like barely made an effort, type of a thing. And I get that now, like the next couple of years, they're going to be doing a lot of major changes, so that quote makes sense. But considering Walt said that before Epcot was even a thing, it's kind of comical to me. And also it feel like it flip flops. It goes back to like I said, like in the past, like the old stuff, and then it tries to reference talking about the future, and doesn't really talk about anything coming. I love that it highlights Soarin'. I love that it highlights, because I really do like Soarin'. I love that it highlights American Adventure. It kind of does tie in that coming together as one to take care of the world type of a thing. And it does even feature the, I don't know what the song is called, but it's the song that's used to be played after Promise, the Illumination song. as you're exiting the park. It's like a kind of like an African chant, kind of. That is featured in the song in the show, which I do like. And they added lyrics to it. At least I think they added lyrics to it. I don't remember ever having lyrics before, so don't quote me on that. But I do really love that part. There is one thing that they put in. I thought they were going to have drones. They have these light up kites that they kind of fly around with boats pulling them. And it sounds a lot cooler than it looks. Like, honestly, those two parts with the kites are probably my favorite parts of the entire show. That might be because both those parts feature something I recognize, Soarin' and the American Adventure. I'm sure if it didn't feature, or if those were featured during parts of the songs that I didn't know, I wouldn't probably like them as much. Going off of things that I know, the show starts out with One Little Spark, which is Figment's song. I absolutely love Figment. I never got to see the classic Figment ride, but I love Figment. I love what he stands for. I love everything about him, and the fact that they feature that song multiple times throughout the show is really cool. Although, I wish that they didn't feature it as much as they did. I get that the show is... I'm not really even sure what the purpose of the show is, to be honest, because some people are saying it's to get people excited for what's coming, but it also mostly talks about the past, what people don't know about. And it doesn't really feature anything that's coming. It doesn't feature the Ratatouille ride. It doesn't feature anything about Moana. None of the new attractions, even Guardians of the Galaxy. I was expecting like a little medley of like some of their shows or some of the songs from the movies and such to be put in the show, to be like, hey, these things are coming. Aren't you excited about them? And there was nothing. Which I thought was really odd, considering this seemed like a perfect opportunity to advertise what is coming and get people pumped about it, other than that little pavilion that I talked about earlier in Odyssey. Overall, honestly, I wasn't impressed with it. If anything, it kind of made me sad, because after it was over, or after we finished watching it, I went to put on Illuminations and then immediately was sad because I was like, this isn't Illuminations. And I know they're working on another show, the actual EPCOT show, which they're hoping to premiere in this coming spring, 2020. It's going to feature music inspired by Disney, aimed towards the different like cultural like singers, like Africa for the Lion King, and so on and so forth. So that I feel like would be really cool in bringing Disney into Epcot, which I get that that's what they're trying to do. I'm trying to put more Disney in Epcot, which I'm okay with that, as long as they still keep a lot of the core of what Epcot is. I'm fine with that. And I like that they're bringing in the culture of like each Epcot, like, or each country, and how it ties into the different movies. I think that'll be really cool as well. Again, that's not for like another 6 or so months, and I feel like I'm just not happy with the new show. I really am not. It doesn't connect with me or resonate with me really, other than, like I said, with Figment and the American Adventure part, bringing in like the whole world. Other than that, I really don't like it. And it kind of made me sad, because Epcot was one of my favorite places to see the fireworks. I'm also kind of tagging on this, really upset that they're not going to have, I don't know this for sure, but I'm sad that they're most likely not going to have the Christmas tag at the end. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll have something new that they'll put on in the end. I hope it kind of sticks with the whole Peace on Earth thing, because I do like that around the Christmas season. I am also kind of upset for multiple reasons that they're extending the Food and Wine Festival to November 23rd, and that they're not starting the Holidays Festival until like the 29th, I think, instead of November. I like that all of the parks kind of start their celebrations at the same time. And I don't actually understand why Epcot isn't starting theirs early, other than maybe Food and Wine Festival is more popular than Christmas. And maybe they're just trying to bring in people for, I really don't know what they're doing. Honestly, it's bringing back memories of me working at Hollywood Studios going, what are you doing? What are you doing? Um, but I know there's always hidden reasons and surveys and things that Disney does and that I'm not involved in, or I don't always see or hear about them. But I don't let my opinion stop you from seeing it. I still will eventually see it. I have friends visiting this month. I also have family visiting the month after. So I will be going to Epcot, and they will want to go and see it in person. But I personally don't really have much of an interest to like make a trip over to Epcot just to see the fireworks, which really makes me sad. I'm very looking forward to the new things that are coming to Epcot. I think they're going to be really cool. It's going to be a long wait for us to get there. It felt like Star Wars Land took forever. I moved over to Hollywood Studios when they announced Star Wars Land was going to be a thing, and the fact that it's just now a thing 4 years later is a lot. But anyway, what do you think about the new EPCOT Forever temporary fireworks show? Let me know. Do you like it? Do you wish it had different changes? Do you think that they didn't do it at all and we just had illuminations until the new fireworks show in the spring? Yeah, I want to know what your opinion is. You can go and watch it on the DisneyParks channel right now. That's how Jared and I watched it. We actually watched it. We watched it once for our first reaction, and then we talked about it, and then we watched it again to kind of analyze it a little more. But my opinion didn't really change much. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.